In this video, in this part of the video, we're going to look at a comparison of Cai and Zhou. Not sure if you noticed or not, but these two little guys are ubiquitous. They're everywhere. They show up all the time in different phrases, and honestly, they can be a bit confusing. What they mean in different situations, what their uses are, and how they compare to each other. So we're going to go through a little list of each of them, and I'll share a couple of examples too. Many of these I've shared before, but there's actually a little bit of new material there at the bottom. All right, so Cai. If I were to sort of, and I think I've done this before too, sort of try to summarize what their sort of essential basic meaning is Cai has a limiting function, but it's like saying not until this thing happens can something happen. So it's not saying there is a way. It's saying not until something happens can something happen. So, and Zhou is more like precisely right at that spot. If this happens, boom, that can happen. They can both mean only this much, like only in the sense of only a certain amount. Like we've talked before, 我女儿才5岁. My daughter is only 5 years old. Or I could say 我女儿就5岁. Exactly the same meaning. Or 我女儿只有5岁. That also means the same thing. So these both can mean only in that sense. Cai, I don't know that we've talked about this. Cai can mean gang, just kind of like gang cai. So we take the Cai part of it. It can mean gang, like 我才做完作业. 我才做完作业. I just got done with my homework. Cai, we've talked a bit about this, can mean not until or only after. So something can, let me look at an example here. 那本书我看了2遍才看懂. That's from All Set Learning. That means that book 我看了2遍. I read it twice 才看懂. I read it twice before I understood it. So something like that. Or I didn't understand it until I had read it twice. So that's only after or not until. It can express slowness or lateness. 我35岁才结婚. I didn't get married until I was 35. 我35岁 I 35才结婚. And there's no la with that phrase. The reason I mention that is because the corresponding or opposite version of that expressing earliness and quickness with Zhou does have a la. So, and here is a set phrase with Cai in it. We learned this already. It means only if ... So it's kind of like it's like only after or only if, but it's a little just more fuller, more formalized. 只有 something. 只有什么什么什么才什么什么什么. Right? All right, here we have Zhou. It can also, of course, mean only this much. Expresses earliness or quickness. 我3分钟就到了. I'll be there in only 3 minutes. There's a la at the end of that. It can mean, we've talked about how it can mean then or so or as a result. 你胖了就减肥吧. 你胖了, you've gotten fatter. 就减, then in that case, as a result, 减肥, lose some weight. That'd be a very unkind thing to say. However, in China, people do tend to talk about people's weight, and it isn't a negative thing. So I guess you got to get used to it, you know? In fact, they kind of care for people by talking about them, like, hey, you've gotten skinny or you've gained some weight. It's a way to say, I notice you and I care about you, and if I think you need some advice, I might give it to you. Then there's some set phrases for Zhou that we've taught, 2 of which we've talked about, 2 of which we didn't. We have if Zhou. The reason I wrote this in English is because there's a couple different ways to say if. We've talked about that. There's 如果要是 there's putting 的话 at the end of that phrase. So if something something 就 something something, it's the then in the if then phrase. There's 只要就 as long as this happens 就 这个就可以 happen. And then we did not talk about this one. 既然什么什么什么就什么什么. This means since this is true 就什么什么. It's like this actually. It's just it makes it a formal phrase. Since 什么什么什么就什么什么什么. And we didn't talk about this one either. 依旧. That's like this is the phrase. This is a good one to know. We didn't put time on it in this course, but it means as soon as something happened, 就 something else happened. 我一到了就开始吃饭. As soon as I got home, as soon as I arrived, I started to eat. So it's the number one, and then a phrase, 就什么什么. So there we have it. We have, I wanted to point out, Allset Learning pointed out that you can actually use 才 and 就 together in some sentences. It's kind of fun. It's the just now use of 才, like the 刚才 use of 才. And when, this is an example, I'll read it in Chinese and then I'll translate it for you. 电影才开始你就不想看了。电影才开始. So the movie just started. 你就不想看了. You 就不想 don't want to see it. I mean, don't want to watch it. The movie just started and you already don't want to watch it. So we have the 才 meaning just, and then the 就 meaning like it's expressing that earliness or quickness, like you so quickly don't want to watch it. The 电影才开始你就不想看了. So that is an interesting idea to put those two words together in the same phrase to express one idea. And so there we have it. We have 才 and 就. And in the next clip, we'll talk about háishi and huòzhě. Hey, so now we're going to talk about the two words that mean or in English, háishi and huòzhě. I'll quickly review the basic difference between them when they mean what is their primary meaning. They both mean or, but each of them actually have several other meanings that don't exactly mean or maybe is a different expression of that. And so I will go over that as well. So háishi, its basic thing means or asking for a choice. Usually it's in questions or it's in phrases that kind of act like questions. If you remember that háishi is in questions and huòzhě is in statements, you'll be right the vast majority of the time. But there are times when you say like, I don't know whether John wants to go to school or to skip school. So it's like saying, hey John, do you want to go to school or skip school? You use háishi. When you say, I don't know whether he wants this or that, it has the same idea of it's kind of like asking for a choice, even though it's not in the question. It's demanding a choice. Then this huòzhě means to present options. Do you want this, or that? Do you want noodles or rice? No, I started that's not, that's this. Or noodles or rice are both great. What do we have here today? We have this or that. All of them are fine. Usually in statements usually in statements. Okay, so let's go through this list of 4 more things that háishi can mean. It can mean the sum of its parts, which is still is. So sometimes it'll show up when it doesn't mean, it's not this word by itself, it just means still is. And so you have to watch out for that because it can mean that. And then it's actually 2 words, not 1 word. It can also mean should, or like it's expressing a preference for an alternative. For example, 天冷了，你还是多穿点儿吧。你还是多穿点儿吧. This is from the Plico Plico dictionary. The sky is cold. The weather is cold, or the weather's become cold. 你还是多穿点儿吧. You should wear a little bit more. You should, wear a good amount of clothing because it's cold. So that's like saying, hey, the weather's cold. You should put on some more, or you should wear a sufficient amount of clothing. Or 还是你来吧，我在家等你. That's also from the Plico dictionary, and that's like 还是你来吧. How about you come to my place, I'll wait for you at home. So that's like saying, hey, we're trying to decide, do I go to you or you come to me? 还是你来吧. I prefer this alternative. 还是你来吧. That makes sense? And then it can also be used to say, like, to add it to a sentence that really doesn't change the meaning exactly. It expresses this like, oh, I realized something, or I'm emphasizing a fact. This is also from Plico dictionary. 这个人还是真了不起. 这个人还是真了不起. 了不起 means amazing, wonderful, good. So this person 还是真. So 还是 very 了不起, wonderful. So it's kind of like saying, wow, I didn't know this person was that amazing. I kind of like realized the fact, like, wow, so it is, wow. So that it could add that feeling to the sentence. And 还是 can be used for the or in no matter this or that. Regardless of this or that, no matter how this plays out, this is still true. So that or can be 还是, or it can be 或者. They can both have that function, though this is much more common. But they can both do that. Some people might choose to say that. This is much more common. So usually when it's like 无论 can mean no matter, or 不管 it can both mean no matter. So 无论 rain or shine, we're going to go, we're going to go out. So no matter rain or shine, we're going to go out. That is 无论还是 or 不管还是 or 不论还是. So many options for that phrase. We have a couple in English, regardless of, no matter. There's probably more. All right. 或者 can also mean other things. It means maybe. Yeah. So let's see if I got an example of that. 快点走，或者还是赶得上他. Okay, this is from Plico dictionary. It means let's be quick. Let's walk quickly. Maybe we can still catch up to him. So that maybe could be 或者. Now there's other words for maybe. More common words like 或许. We also have the 也许, 可能. I think that I might be forgetting one. But anyway, it's not the most common, but 或者 can mean maybe. And then we also have 或者, which I think I've talked about before. 或者 something. 或者 something. It means either or. Kind of like it's either this or it's that. There are no other options. It's making a statement about, either this or that. And then it can mean the or in no matter this or that. It can also mean that, though 还是 is more common. So here we go. I hope that is a good review. There's a lot of new stuff in there. You don't necessarily have to remember all of these possible uses. I'm mainly just pointing them out to you. If you want to remember them and memorize them, that's great too. But it's nice to have it in the back of your mind. That can mean other things, and kind of keep a lookout for it so that you can learn them and get to know them and understand them when they're said, and even use them yourself. But the main thing is to remember the basic difference, which is 还是 is used primarily in questions. It's to make a choice. Do you want this or do you want that? And this is to present options. This or that are both great. If someone asks you, do you want this, 还是 that? You can say, this 或者 that are both fine. You get it? Okay, there you go. I think this is the last video before our massive review coming up. We'll see how long that video goes. We're going to just go boom, boom, boom through each point that we've learned in HSK 3 as a reminder of what we've learned and it will give you a chance to know what you're super unclear on to go back and do some review. See you then.